Landscape makeovers are so much fun. Today we're getting our hands dirty to make this backyard amazing. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned as we garden smart.
These moments of beauty and relaxation are brought to you by Proven Winners Flowering Shrubs. Our goal is to leave you free to just enjoy your garden. Proven Winners Flowering Shrubs can be found at local garden centers across the country.
Memphis Wood Fire Grills with our patented IntelliBurn technology and convection oven cooking. Sear a steak, roast vegetables, bake cookies, or smoke meat. Memphis Wood Fire Grills.
DRAM has been providing gardeners with professional equipment for over 80 years. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden, available at garden centers near you.
The Jaguar F-Pace.
I love the creative process that goes into transforming a piece of land into a beautiful and inviting garden. From ideation to design to installation, the vision becomes reality and is molded into the perfect piece of paradise that the homeowner has always imagined. There's so much work that goes into this artful transformation, and we wouldn't do the garden justice to leave out these important steps. Today we're meeting up with a team that really helped bring this project together. Everyone did a great job, and the homeowner couldn't be more thrilled. Let's meet Mark Cohia from LDC Management Group, who orchestrated the many moving parts of this design and installation with our project. Mark, it's been amazing seeing this whole project come together, and there was so much thought and planning that went into this transformation.
Right.
I want you to talk us through, your vision for this. When you're looking at this backyard, listening to the concerns of the homeowner, how do you put all this together?
Well, first you start off with, as far as the homeowner, you want to find out what kind of plants they like, dislike. Definitely some homeowners and customers just hate certain colors. Also, depending on how shady an area is, that was one of the things we had with this backyard, dealing with a lot of shade. So we had to have a lot of trees removed.
Let's talk about the site work.
Right.
We've got these retaining walls here, basically getting everything set first to make the outdoor space what it can be is a very important part of getting this right.
Exactly. So what we did next is we got Christine, who's our design specialist. She went to UGA, got a degree in horticulture. She got with the homeowner and sat down with them and figured out the plants that they liked, didn't like. We also had to find plants that could work back here due to the shade, the moisture that we have in this backyard.
And success with the garden, it really does come down to all of this planting. The right plant in the right place is 99% of the challenge, and then making sure that the site is correct.
Exactly. Another problem you also have, especially in this area, wildlife.
Right.
There's certain plants that deer and rabbit love to eat. So we also had to take that into account.
One of the most important steps in creating a successful design is spending time with the homeowner to discover what it is they ultimately would like. Oftentimes their vision is not yet super clear, but as designers we can discover how they would ultimately like to use the space, their preferences in texture and color, as well as the overall feel the space should have. With this design, we knew that the homeowner wanted a diverse landscape that featured bold primary colors. They also love entertaining and have a few pets, so having a nice lawn area was going to be important. We also learned that a fire pit was a must-have and decided to make that a focal point of the design. One of the early challenges we discovered was the amount of shade that we were dealing with. We knew that certain trees would need to be thinned or removed. There was also a mature row of Leyland cypresses that flanked the back of the property that needed to be addressed as well. Instead of removing them entirely, they were limbed up to allow more light in, and a row of Thuya green giant were planted in front of them to eventually take their space in the landscape. Drainage was also something that we were very focused on. In order to have beautiful turf, we needed to install drain pipe to move the water from the downspouts on the home to a low natural area where it wouldn't create problems for the grass. To make everything come together in the way we wanted it to, there was quite a bit of grading that needed to happen as well. We needed to reduce the overall slope of the yard to create more level, usable space for the turf and the landscape. This meant building a retaining wall and moving in fill to level the yard out. Last but not least, it's important to consider creating pathways that visitors can use to navigate the garden. For this design, it was easy enough to use natural stepstones to create a walk from the lawn to the back gate, as well as a walkway from the back patio to the outdoor kitchen space. These hardscape touches, while small, break up the plantings and add additional layers of interest to the overall design. They also provide a practical solution for foot traffic through the landscape. At this point, we're ready to get the plans drawn up for the homeowner to approve, and then we're off to the races. With the design finalized, everyone will be on the same page and our new landscape goes from dream to reality. Mark, oftentimes when we're looking at taking on a new space, part of making that plan work is having to take some trees out.
Exactly.
We got to make the decision, do we want the shade or do we want the garden?
Right.
Because sometimes if we're trying to make all this happen, some trees have got to go, and the tree removal was actually a pretty meaningful part of this installation.
Yes, it was, especially like back in this area here, we wanted to have a nice fire pit and a good area to hang out, but we had a lot of smaller pine trees that were struggling real bad.
Not every tree removal service is the same, and it really is important to find qualified arborists to do this work.
Yes, it is. You definitely want to make sure you get a professional arborist to come out. We use AKA. Lee over at AKA and his guys are very well trained. They have the proper insurance needed. You never want to skimp when it comes to getting your trees removed. It's a dangerous job.
It is surgical in many ways.
Yes,
and
it is.
Just making sure that we don't do any damage to the structures or to other trees that we want to keep.
And people, you know, you don't want anybody getting injured as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here this morning with Brian and Lee from AKA Tree Service, who did a wonderful job getting this site right and ready. Guys, there's a lot of things that we've got to consider when we're looking at a tree service and the overall job to make sure this gets done right. Removing trees, it can be a dangerous job. A lot of people get hurt. That's why hiring professionals matter, and you guys did a wonderful job. I want us to start by talking about this project. You know, how do you figure out your game of attack?
Well, with this particular job, after looking at the plan, we realized some trees needed to be elevated, and there was a cluster of big pines in the middle that were going to cause an issue for turf and the shade plants around. So we knew right off the bat those needed to go, and we needed to limb up the lealands. We're going to limb up a poplar and just do some dead wooding on the lower canopy for aesthetics. But just looking at the plan, I knew right off which trees needed to go and which ones didn't to have success in the landscape.
I've been involved in a lot of projects, and one thing I know for a fact is it's important to hire the right tree removal service. What are the things that consumers ought to look for? You got a big project, we got to take some trees down, do some limb ups. What are the things that consumers need to look for when they're shopping for the right tree service?
So you definitely want a certified arborist to come out. In terms of insurance, you want to make sure they have the proper insurance. Those are some of the things that you want to look for right off the bat. And then as you dive deeper into the company that you're looking to hire, you kind of want to do your homework and make sure that they use proper PPE, proper techniques, not only to protect the property, but the workers on site.
So let's talk about the specifics of this job. You know, you mentioned a number of things that had to get done here. Kind of walk us through the whole process and the things that were important, you know, as we're thinking about the trees that need to get limbed up. Walk us through that process and what you need to consider to make sure that we're taking care of the tree and that job goes just right.
Arboriculturally, we try to stay within 20 to 25% and less when we're trimming. On this project, the lealands, we were just elevating the canopy about 6 foot to get some light for the future plants underneath.
Right.
So that really wasn't an issue. But if we're raising a big mature oak or something like that, we would definitely want to be sure that we're trimming the proper amount of the ratio so we don't shock the tree in the future and cause it harm.
So let's talk about taking a tree down. I'm fascinated every time I watch someone remove a large tree. There's an art, but there's a lot of science to it as well. And you're dealing with something that's very top heavy. In many cases, it's got a tremendous amount of weight to it. Just walk us through the process of removing a large tree.
Well, on this site, like I mentioned at the beginning, we identified, I think it was 3 or 4 large pines that needed to be removed. So what we did as far as rigging, we set ropes and pulleys to control that wood on the downfall.
Right.
So we used a lot of rigging on this site.
And so you're basically just starting from the top. Were you having to climb these trees to take them out?
Correct. First thing the climber is going to do when he goes on this site, he's going to check the tree to make sure it's safe to get in, which all of these were.
Right.
So they set their rigging and their ropes and ascended the tree. And on the way up, they delimb it and basically get to the top and then work their way down. And like I mentioned, everything was controlled and low impact, and everything was done on ropes and rigging.
It's rare that one with a large tree would just straight fell it. You'd have to have a lot of space to do that.
Well, in your urban landscapes, most of the time we don't have the space to fall a tree,
Right.
So they're going to have to be brought down, controlled. And that's where the rigging comes in, because there's often stuff around below the tree that needs to be protected.
And then from there, you've got to move a lot of wood material out of the yard. And of course, in this case, you know, you had a decent distance to go.
We utilized a bobcat and some plywood to get the big wood out. Taking wood out by hand can get expensive and time consuming. So the bobcat just allows us to move material and process it quicker.
So one of the finishing touches in tree removal that I think is so important is don't try to save money by leaving that stump there. I think it's very important that you get in there and grind the stump. It's just hard for the next generation of plants to really get established if you've got that big heavy stump in place.
With the stump grinding on this project, we came in because there was going to be turf there. So of course you can't have the stump existing. So we ground it and went below grade, about 6 inches to a foot below, so they could come in and top dress the soil and prep it for the new turf and plants.
Right, and especially if we're talking about pines, you know, those stumps will take 2 to 3 years to naturally rot. You think about all the tannin that is in a pine stump. You know, so it's going to be very, very difficult for the next plants to establish, and stump grinding gives you a huge leg up. And of course, like you said, especially going in with turf, you've just got to take it out. So don't skip that step.
No, absolutely. The stump is an eyesore and also a trip hazard in a landscape. So it's always best to get it removed when you can.
So Brian, is there anything else that our viewers should know when it comes to the whole process of tree removal and making sure the job's done right?
I would just say make sure you're hiring the right professionals. A lot of folks in our industry are arborists, but they're not certified. So that's important, especially if you're dealing with tree health, plant health care and that kind of stuff. But just make sure you're hiring the right company with the proper insurance, not only to protect yourself, but you know, the company as well.
On projects of this size and scope, there are so many different things that have to all come together at the right time. And behind the scenes, oftentimes there can be supply chain issues that slow things down, but you guys kept this one moving.
Yeah, we did. Fortunately for us, Randy Moody, our rep at Site 1, who's one of our suppliers, he was able to track down a lot of the materials that we're struggling to find due to the pandemic and certain freight situations going on. The material for the wall was hard to get. Paver, patio materials were hard to get, but Site 1 came through for us in a big way.
Absolutely. Well, when the housing economy's up and there's tons of development going on, even down to plants, oftentimes it can be hard to find the right size plants and any kind of building materials. It's been a tough year.
Yes, it has been a tough year, not just with residential jobs, but commercial is also having a big boom. And we do both. And the supply chain issue's been a major setback for us this year.
Yeah, well, Site 1 was clutch for this job.
Yes, they were, exactly.
A very important part of making sure that every project is executed well, on time, and on budget is making sure that you're working with a great landscape supply group. Tom, with Site 1, that's what you guys do, and you're able to aggregate an incredible amount of high quality materials and make sure that they're delivered to the site on time, the quality is assured, and the customer gets exactly what they want.
That's what we do. Site 1 is the largest landscape supply distributor in the country. We're designed specifically for the landscape contractor. We are to a landscape contractor what a big box store is to a homeowner. We have associates working at our stores that help and advise landscape professionals on projects such as this.
So organizations like Site 1, they work behind the scenes. We don't oftentimes see the impact of their work. It's so important because, especially nowadays where it's not as easy as it once was to get everything that you want.
Very true.
You're dealing with tons of different growers, different suppliers. And one of the tricks too is making sure that all the material is as spec'd and that the quality's there, and that's why it's important, I think, to have industry professionals who are able to make sure that what's spec'd is a 4-foot Thuya Green Giant that is, in an X gallon container, that all of that is correct. It makes a huge difference to execution on the design.
That's very true. We can assure the quality and make sure it's delivered in a timely manner when the customer needs the job for the install.
So Tom, give me a sense of the scope of the work that Site 1 does. What kind of materials do you touch?
Well, we do irrigation products, we do agronomic products, we do nursery products, we do hardscape products. We do everything from A to Z, from what a landscaper gets on the job site, what they would need to complete a job.
So I know that Site 1 had a lot to do with this design here. You worked extensively with Randy on it. Give me a sense of what what Site 1 was able to supply for this project.
Well, we would do all the hardscape part of it, the pavers, the rock. We would do the plant material. We could do all the amendments. We do the lighting as well. We supply all the lighting and everything that goes with the lighting and to install the lighting properly. So it's pretty much anything that a landscaper would touch for a job is what we can coordinate for them through Site 1.
It saves a lot of time and just the logistics of pulling all these things together. Once you've got the design and you've got the contractor that is there to install it, having everything arrive when it needs to arrive is so important.
We see ourselves as a partner with our landscape contractors. So we're just as involved as they are in jobs like this, and to make sure that they're successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tom, it's great getting a peek behind the scenes of part of the machine of what makes great design and great install work. And you guys did an incredible job here. The material looks fantastic, and it's just wonderful, seeing the whole transformation of this backyard. And thank you for your input.
Well, thanks, Eric. It's always great to get out here and see the end product instead of being at a store or looking at a computer. I love getting out in the field and actually viewing what our customers do. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Each week we travel the country north to south, east to west, visiting some of the most exciting gardens, as well as talking to industry horticulturalists about design principles, new plants, and also how you can be most successful with your home gardens. We also love answering your gardening questions, so visit us on the web at GardenSMART.com.
These moments of beauty and relaxation are brought to you by Proven Winners Flowering Shrubs. Our goal is to leave you free to just enjoy your garden. Proven Winners Flowering Shrubs can be found at local garden centers across the country.
Memphis Wood Fire Grills with our patented IntelliBurn technology and convection oven cooking. Sear a steak, roast vegetables, bake cookies, or smoke meat. Memphis Wood Fire Grills.
DRAM has been providing gardeners with professional equipment for over 80 years. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden, available at garden centers near you.
The Jaguar F-Pace.
Today we learned quite a bit about the importance of picking the right professionals for those tough jobs that make a new landscape magical. If you have questions about anything you've seen today, visit us on the web at GardenSMART.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, even if you're a master gardener, there's always more to learn. So join us next week for more great gardening tips and ideas as we garden smart.